All right, so you want to really get into this whole DeepSeek R1 thing. I mean, it's the talk of the town right now, right? Everyone's comparing it to OpenAI's GPT-4.
Yeah.
And you want to know, like, what's the big deal?
Yeah, it seems like DeepSeek kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, OpenAI has been the big player in this field for years, especially with that whole GPT series.
Totally. GPT-4 was like a revolution when it dropped back in what, March of 23?
Right, March 2023, and 175 billion parameters.
Yeah.
That's a crazy amount of processing power, even for AI.
Yeah, it was a big leap for sure. But then DeepSeek drops this R1 bomb in January 25, and they apparently built the thing in like 2 months.
It's wild, right?
It's insane. And on like a tiny budget too. We're talking 6 million versus OpenAI's 100 million for GPT-4.
It makes you wonder, how do they pull that off?
Yeah, are they cutting corners? Or is there something, I don't know, more revolutionary going on?
That cost difference is a big clue for sure.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds a little bit. We keep hearing about parameters, billions of them. What are those exactly? Like, more is better, right?
Well, yeah, generally speaking, more parameters mean the AI is more complex, more capable of learning.
Right.
But here's where DeepSeek gets really interesting. R1 has a whopping 671 billion parameters, but it only uses about 37 billion at any given time.
Whoa, wait a minute, hold up. So they built this massive thing, but they're only using like a fraction of its power. Why?
Well, it seems like they're focusing on efficiency, adaptability, instead of just throwing raw power at every problem.
Okay, so like a specialized toolbox instead of a giant hammer?
Exactly. They carefully select the tools they need for each specific job.
Smart. What about that context window thing? DeepSeek's is 128,000 tokens compared to GPT-4's 8,192.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
What does that even mean in practical terms?
Think of it like this. The context window is kind of like the AI's short-term memory. GPT-4 can keep, say, a single page of text in mind while it's working. But DeepSeek R1 can handle like an entire book.
Oh, wow, that's a huge difference. So what? It can do more complex stuff.
Exactly. R1 can tackle things that require deep, multi-layered understanding.
So GPT-4 can write you a blog post, but R1 could write a screenplay.
Potentially, yeah. Or analyze a legal contract, code a complex program, all while keeping track of every detail.
Okay, that is impressive. But how does it stack up against the, tried and true GPT-4? I mean, GPT-4 is already out there doing real work.
That's a million-dollar question, and honestly, some of these early benchmark tests are pretty surprising. So in these logical reasoning tests, DeepSeek R1 scored a crazy 92% accuracy.
92?
Compared to GPT-4's 78%.
That's not even close.
No, not at all. It seems like DeepSeek R1 is on another level there.
Okay, so logic, they've got that down. What about other areas like math?
Well, they use this thing called the AM. It's the American Invitational Mathematics Exam. And DeepSeek R1 scored 79.8%.
How did GPT-4 do?
It got 79.2%.
So really close there.
Yeah, DeepSeek just edged it out.
Interesting. And what about things like coding?
Both models are pretty strong there. But DeepSeek's efficiency, remember?
Right.
That makes it a real contender. Because imagine, you can have this powerful AI helping you code, but at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, I'm looking at this price comparison table here. It says DeepSeek R1 is 32.8 times cheaper than GPT-4.
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
Especially for independent developers, small businesses, even students.
So someone like me who's working on Listener's project, what could this mean for me?
Well, you could, potentially, run DeepSeek R1 on your own hardware. Fine-tune it for your specific needs. Really integrate it into your workflow.
That's pretty powerful, I gotta say. But what about the elephant in the room, this whole open source thing with DeepSeek R1?
Right.
Isn't there a danger in that, giving this kind of power away for free?
Well, it's definitely a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
On the one hand, open sourcing AI could really accelerate progress.
How so?
Think about it. A global community of researchers, developers, all contributing to R1's development, constantly improving it, finding new applications.
Yeah, I can see that. But wouldn't someone have raised a red flag if they found, copied code from OpenAI?
That's a good point. And OpenAI has actually been pretty vocal. They've even accused DeepSeek of copying their technology.
Really?
Yeah, they were arguing that DeepSeek's rapid development, the low cost, it just doesn't add up unless they were using proprietary information from GPT-4.
But DeepSeek says they built R1 from scratch, right?
That's what they claim, yeah. They say they used publicly available research and data.
So who do we believe?
It's tough to say for sure. Proving direct copying in AI is tricky. It's not as simple as finding identical lines of code.
Right.
It's more about algorithms, data sets, training methods.
So it could get messy.
Oh, absolutely. It could end up in a legal battle.
Yeah.
And that outcome could have massive implications for AI development.
Yeah, I mean, how much protection should companies have over their models? Where's the line between, like, inspiration and infringement?
Exactly. Big questions, no easy answers.
And then there's the whole issue of responsible use. OpenAI seems to be pushing for a more cautious approach.
They're all about safety measures, ethical guidelines. It's like they're saying, trust us, we know what we're doing.
Right, right.
Whereas DeepSeek is all about openness, democratization, putting the power in the hands of the people.
Two very different philosophies.
For sure. And the question is, which vision for the future of AI will prevail?
Okay, so DeepSeek R1, it's a game changer. Maybe even a sign of things to come.
I think so.
But we've covered a lot of ground here. Maybe we should take a break, let everything sink in a bit.
Sounds good.
And then when we come back, we'll explore what this all means for you and for the future of AI as a whole.
Okay, so we're back, and I feel like my head is spinning a little bit. DeepSeek R1, this whole thing is a lot to process, right?
It's been quite the deep dive, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, we've gone from comparing features and benchmarks to, like, talking about the future of AI and who controls it.
It really raises a lot of questions. It does. And honestly, it's exciting, but also a little bit scary, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the potential here is incredible, but we need to be mindful of the risks, too.
Okay, so let's recap for a second, just to make sure we're all on the same page. DeepSeek R1 developed in just 2 months on a budget that's, what, a fraction of what OpenAI spent on GPT-4.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, right?
Totally. And then there's the technical stuff, the massive parameter count, that sparse activation strategy, and that crazy huge context window, which basically gives R1 a super memory.
And all of that translates to real-world capabilities. R1 can tackle tasks that were previously thought to be impossible for AI.
So we're talking about more than just writing blog posts or emails. This thing could potentially analyze complex data, even write code, right?
Exactly. And the open source nature of R1, that means anyone can potentially access this power.
Which is exciting, but also, like we said, a little scary.
It's a balancing act, for sure.
So when we step back and look at this whole DeepSeek R1 versus GPT-4 situation, what does it all mean for the average person?
I think it signifies a shift in the AI landscape, a move towards more accessible, democratized AI tools.
And what about the potential downsides?
Well, there's always the risk of misuse, of course. And we need to be having conversations about ethical development, responsible use.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about how we as a society choose to use it.
Precisely. And those choices, they're happening now.
So this isn't just some far-off future we're talking about. This is affecting us right now in real and tangible ways.
Absolutely. And it's only going to become more important in the years to come.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job unpacking all of this. At least as good a job as we can do in, what, like 45 minutes?
Yeah, it's a complex topic, and we've just scratched the surface.
But hopefully our listeners have a better understanding now of DeepSeek R1, GPT-4, and this whole fascinating world of AI.
And hopefully they're asking questions, thinking critically about the implications of all this.
Because ultimately the future of AI is not predetermined. It's something we're all shaping together.
And that's both exciting and a little bit daunting, wouldn't you say?
I would say. But hey, that's what makes this stuff so interesting. Right?
Yeah.
So, to everyone listening out there, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep learning. Because this is a conversation that's only just beginning. And we'll be here to keep you informed every step of the way. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll see you next time.